Great film. I'm Sandy Hausman. I'm with Virginia Public Radio, WVTF, and Radio IQ. And yeah, I have the honor of getting the conversation started, but I expect you all to jump in here anytime. Matthew Lillard just made it in from DC, and before that from LA.
No, Savannah.
Oh,
I was in Savannah for the Savannah Film Festival.
You've discovered the only bad thing about Charlottesville, and that is that they cancel our flights at will. So this poor guy.
They didn't cancel. I just missed it.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. In any event, he drove down here at high speed from DC, and glad you could make it.
Slow.
Before becoming a director for this film, Matthew was cast in the horror film Scream as Billy Loomis's friend Stu. Y'all remember that? He also played Steve-O in the independent film SLC Punk, and he was cast as Shaggy Rogers in the 2002 live-action Scooby-Doo film. I love what Wikipedia says, a role he later reprised in the 2004 sequel, Scooby-Doo 2.
That just means later I got paid.
That's the best thing about those roles. They have a tendency to stick around.
That's why you never died in Scream 1.
Yeah, there you go. More recently, you played Brian in The Descendants?
Yes.
Last year's film festival, Virginia Film Festival. He was the boyfriend of Sweeney's wife. Really evil
That's
dude.
the best part ever written in Hollywood.
And a real estate guy.
Dude that steals Queen's wife.
And Fat Kid is his directorial debut, and we'll have him tell us a little bit about what it's like to be a director instead of an actor. Billy here is a local boy made good. Billy Campbell hails from Western Albemarle High School, where he acted in student productions. Let that be a lesson to us all. He's worked in both TV and film, playing Rick Sandler in Once and Again, Detective Joey Indelli on Crime Story, Jordan Collier on the 4400, a role in the teen soap The OC. No, I'm sorry, it was a sci-fi series, I skipped a line, which aired for 4 seasons on the USA Network. And in 2005, he had a recurring role in the teen soap The OC. And in 2003, he played a serial killer, Ted Bundy. You've come a long way. You're the good guy this time around. But he has, in spite of these roles of his, he was named one of the world's 50 most beautiful people by People magazine.
Very proud of it. He's very proud of it.
Yeah. And early next year, in February, you will see him in a National Geographic adaptation of Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard's book, Killing Lincoln. He plays Lincoln. Yes. What a surprise. Tall, dark, and handsome. Anyway, let's start off. Let's make a...
You didn't call me any of those things. I'm sitting right here. I stole Clooney's wife. I deserve some damn respect.
You're the brains behind the operation. Tell us about directing. Why did you like this story so much?
I optioned the book 10 years ago. It's a book by Kelly Going. And I did the book on tape. And I had, in that, reading the book, I had an emotional experience. And I saw myself reflected in Troy. I was that kid in high school. I wasn't obese. I don't think our movie's about fat people. I think our movie's about kids on the outside looking in. And I think it's about the 95% of the world that doesn't feel like they fit in high school.
Yeah.
And so I was reading the book, and 15 pages in, I had tears running down my face, and I wanted to make the movie. It took us a long time to get it done, and we finally did it last summer in Seattle for $750,000 in 23 days.
Which is pennies in your business.
This is literally, I just did an episode of Criminal Minds. That's on next Wednesday. And the production budget for the week of craft service, which is the budget to feed people, was $250,000. So in 3 weeks of just treats, they make basically what we made a movie.
It's amazing, and I think one of the things that's most striking about this film is the cast. Amazing actors that we don't know yet. Tell me about the 3 lead characters of the film. How you found them, where you found them?
Well, Jacob Wysocki was a kid. I sat down with the producers of the movie, and they had this idea that we would do a short together. And the short, there was 3 objectives of doing the short. One was to see if we could work together. 2, if I could direct, or if it was just a project of narcissism. And 3, if it was a story worth telling. And so we cast this short between Christmas and New Year's 2 years ago. And we were paying our actors $100 a day, and they had to fly to Seattle 3 days after New Year's. And on the day of auditioning these kids, we had only 4 people come in to audition. And Jacob Wysocki was one of them.
That's Troy.
That's right. And he was so amazing in the short that he became a linchpin for the financing. They wouldn't have made the movie without him.
But they saw him and said, this is it.
Yeah, and it's his spirit, and he's, the crazy thing about his performance is that he lights up the room. I mean, he's the funniest kid in the world. He's effervescent. He could care less about his size. I mean, he's just this beautiful child. I mean, he's just the sweetest man. And, and he plays this character that just carries the weight on his shoulders.
How old is he?
He's 23.
Yeah,
I think
but
he's
still
single.
looks like a kid.
Ladies.
Yeah.
And then Matt O'Leary, we auditioned, and we were looking for a rock star kind of kid in Hollywood, so we saw everyone. And he reminds me of me when I was young. He has this energy and this...
Sort of crazy streak.
Yeah, he's pretty dumb.
I'd say that.
No, he's just got this energy about him that's just lovely, and he'll do anything. And then a great story about Billy Campbell. We had started shooting, and we were trying to find this dad. And nobody in Hollywood would read the part. Nobody would give it the time of day. We were paying people $100, $900 for the week. So that's before taxes and agents. And $900 is not impressive, and I've never done a movie. And, he's not number 1 on the call sheet. So, every guy kind of passed. And Billy just came off The Killing and was free. And it was 3 days into shooting. So we were already a quarter of the day behind.
And you still didn't have a dad.
We didn't have a dad. So I was working, setting up the next day's work, and then memorizing lines, because I was going to have to play the part. Which would have been the single worst thing that would have happened. Zoinks, dude! Here's your drum set. No. And Billy and I did a pilot 1 million years ago. And he had just come off The Killing, and his agent called to what about Billy Campbell. And I said, I will beg him to do the movie.
But he didn't have to beg.
No, he didn't have to beg. My agent sent me this, actually called and said, do you want to do this, do you want to read this movie that Matthew Lillard is directing? And I said, no, I want to do it. And she said, well, you should read the script. I said, you're absolutely right, I should read the script, but I want to do it. So I'll do it, but send me the script. And because I had worked with Matthew and I loved him, nobody who meets Matthew doesn't love him, so I wanted to do it, and I did it.
But the funny thing is, I got on the phone with him, and I had a million reasons why you should do it. Like, here's the deal.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, I'll do it. I'll do it. But then, that thing where you're ready to beg somebody to jump into your passion. And he was already there. And then the second favorite story I have about Billy is that the first day he gets there, it was like our 4th day of shooting, we all go out to dinner. And my mission, because in the book, we took care of the author. We took care of the world that she created. And in the book, it's a big deal that... okay, was that, you just started?
Yeah, that's the line I'm looking for.
Well, now we're going to have to make it dramatic. No, we knew that in the book, he has a flat top, and the dad has a flat top. He's ex-Marine. And so I was going to beg Billy to cut his hair. It was so important to me, because it was like, something to hold on to, that people who know the book would be like, he's got to have a flat top. So I get there, and he shows up, and he has a flat top already. And I was like, you have a flat top? He's like, yeah. I've learned that when you want something, you just bring it in, and don't give him a chance to say no.
He was that sure that that's what the role called for.
And that was his.
I was just worried I was going to show up, and Matthew would be like, I know it says in the script, I know he's a military guy, but he's out of the military for a few years, and he really shouldn't be that hardcore. And I was like, that's wrong. So I went and buzzed all my hair.
And did you have any other background that would make you suitable to play an ex-Marine?
I was 6 years at Fort Union Military Academy, so yeah.
What were you doing there?
A lot of masturbating and just others.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, let's get some questions.
Literally, those 4 people are leaving. I don't masturbate. Stay! Stay! Oh, no. There go the Romney votes.
Can we get some audience participation? Any questions out there for our director or our star dad? Come on, you can do this.
Well, what was it like directing, and what led you to decide you wanted to?
She's asking what it was like to direct this film.
It was, for me, the most natural thing in the entire world. It was like having kids. I'm like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Better than acting, or just
A million times better.
Because
Because for me, I don't get to play Abraham Lincoln very often. If I got great roles that challenge me all the time, that'd be awesome. I don't get those roles. I'm 4th or 5th on the call sheet, and sometimes those are great, but they're not always. So if you don't have, and I've been acting since I was 13, I'm 42, it's a natural progression. I believe in inspiring people, I believe in the craft, I believe in art, I believe in getting people to do their best. I'm way better suited than doing that than something very, sitting in your trailer and hitting a mark and saying a line just isn't nearly as fulfilling as it looks like on the Jersey Shore.
I'll tell you something about Matthew Lillard directing. He's in all my years, almost 30 years of being out there in the business, he's on my top 2 or 3 directors. He's fantastic. I've never had a better experience with a director. I mean, I've had better food and I've been paid better, but yeah, in terms of a director, I don't think I've had a better experience.
Was there a particular scene in this film where you and he kind of worked it out? I mean, was there a particular direction that he gave you?
Every scene, he's just so connected. He's so open. This guy has the biggest heart of anyone you'll ever meet, and he was just so available and so excited. It's impossible to be around Matthew and not feel like you've had a few cups of coffee, and most of the time that's good.
I was just drunk.
He's phenomenal as a director, and I think he's going to have a long career.
What is next? Anything on your list yet?
That was very sweet. Thank you. Not yet. I mean, it's funny, I said to the world, all I want to do is direct. And all I'm doing is acting. Which is good.
It takes a while. You got to morph into it.
Well, I didn't act, it's been you ebb and flow in your career. And there was a long time there where I was really ebbing. And now it's crazy. It's just, those things that, if you're an actor, it just comes and it goes, and it comes and it goes, or whatever art you do, anything in life. And right now it's coming in different ways than I ever expected.
Now, are you from Seattle?
No, I grew up in Michigan.
And how did you find the other guys who made this movie? What it is? The musicians, for example.
Well, Mike McCready of Pearl Jam did our music. That's one of badass. Look at that.
Excellent.
That was like one of the greatest collaborations of my life. That thing where you're looking across from the guy who, I've bought every album they've had for, 20 years. And, giving him notes about what you want is very intimidating. And he was this guy that was basically like, look, me playing a note means nothing to me. Change it. If it's serving the movie, let's change it to show that it serves the movie. That egolessness about him, that was just unbelievable. And then, my sister runs the state incentive in the film office in Washington. So
That didn't hurt.
no, we definitely had some doors open, which was great.
Any more questions out there? Please.
What do you think it is about punk rock and metal and stuff that helps teenagers or emotionally repressed come out of their shell?
She's asking what it is about punk music that helps teens come out of their shell.
Look, there's not a lot of gray in punk rock. You listen to punk or you listen to hardcore rap, metal, whatever, it plugs in. There's an energy, it's visceral. And I think that's why it's such a rich tapestry to make movies in. It's SLC punk, but the thing about SLC punk in producing the movies. I know that movie's had an effect on generations of kids. That if I walk down the street, if 10 people say, hey, I know you from that thing, invariably 5 of them say SLC Punk, and that movie changed my life. So we knew going in that film, if you're making a film for specific demographics, especially a demographic that nobody gives a shit about, that they'll grab it. And if you respect that, you respect the audience, and you respect that kid and that world, and don't Hollywoodize it and just tell an honest story, that they'll hold on to it. And it's and that's been our experience. I mean, we won the Audience Award at South by Southwest, which was fantastic. We got incredible reviews, and we had 4 offers to basically give the film to distribution. All 4 of those offers were pretty terrible. None of them gave us any upfront money guarantee. So basically, you're giving your movie to somebody, and they're going to pay you when they make back their money plus 40% VIG. And then you split it. So like you're just never going to make your money. So instead of taking a really bad deal from Focus Features, we went out and we raised $158,000 in 33 days on Kickstarter. And we did that with a lot of help from Reddit.com and just put it into the world. And we raised that money, and then we took that money and then self-distributed the film around the United States all summer. So it's been a pretty amazing ride. I mean, we're a little tiny independent movie. And like, there are movies like Beast and Summer Wild and, huge movies this summer that people come in and gravitate towards and they pick up and they make money. But we're kind of doing it on the backside of it, and it's working. We're not killing it. We're probably not gonna see any money ever in terms of like us, but there's a chance we make our money back, and that's what we really hope for.
More questions from the audience?
Sorry, about the barriers, are there a lot talking about barriers of making independent movies?
Sure, yeah, I think they're almost gone. I mean, look, I think that you can, Drake Doremus, who did Like Crazy and I, did a movie on video film. Like, anything is available these days. You can make a movie, you can cut on your Mac. So the barrier for entry to making films is minimal. Now, to find an audience and deliver your content to an audience and then in return make money is completely broken. Like there are 4 companies that basically run the world, and there's smaller companies. But to get a movie out now, it costs so much money that there has to be some kind of promise of a home run on the other side. These companies, no company out there wants to make back their money. They're only interested in taking a movie on if they can catch lightning and make $50, $100 million. So the reality is that independent films, to find distribution, you're still looking for things with teenagers and werewolves and guns and, there's not like a right down the middle story anymore. They just don't make them very much. So I think it's an amazing time for filmmakers. It's a terrible time for the financiers.
Go ahead.
Did you find that there are any advantages to making a low budget movie as opposed to if you had a bigger budget, or is there anything you preferred?
Any advantages to making a low-budget film?
From an acting perspective, absolutely. Most of my favorite films that I've done have been independent films. People are, they're working on a budget, and they can't just throw money at something, and they're filled with energy and creativity, and wondering what they can do to make the best thing they can for the money they have. And so things don't get watered down. They're not being run by a committee, so to speak. I find it the best. Those are the best experiences I've had.
And in a way, when you don't have a lot of corporate types standing over you, putting pressure on you, you can be creative. You can take risks. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're at the bottom of a pool. We're, we locked up entire downtown Seattle. I just think that you can do so much. And look, it's really hard in Hollywood because everyone has a say. Everyone's trying to validate the reason they're making their salary. And you get it, like everyone's trying to protect themselves. And if it's a $200 million investment, everyone's got to have skin in the game. And with a $750,000 movie, you kind of get out of the way and just let that guy do his thing. And that's, unbelievably rewarding on so many levels, it's ridiculous. It's the most satisfying, validating experience of my entire life, outside of kids and my marriage.
Good question. Who else? Go.
Yes, you. So I'm a huge fan of the book, and I
He's a
was
big
really
fan of the
excited to see the movie. How did you keep it so raw? It's not, it wasn't exactly like the book, but it's breathing life in it. How do you make the decisions?
And she wants to talk about how the book gets translated.
It's good though, right? Don't we represent the book?
I don't know how to stop talking, I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
That's all right. I can hear you. You're doing great.
But yeah, how did you keep it so close to it? But so like the music scene is very much like the music scene in the real world, like underground music. Like how
There's a lot of answers. Like we could be here for 45 minutes, and I don't want to do that to people. But I mean, look, the crazy thing to me is that every time we could have gone dark with it, every time we could have gone Sundance with it, he could have been shooting up, we could have seen it. You could have seen him having sexual intercourse, the guys, and every time we could have gone Sundance, we tried to avoid it and stay true to the tone of the book. We're still an R-rated movie, which is disgusting to me. We're an R-rated movie because he steals drugs 3 times. There's boobs in it and simulation of masturbation. Even though we don't show anything, and to me what's really sad about it is that we made the movie for that kid out there who's lost and about to jump on the bus. And I feel like that's the spirit of the book. That's the spirit the reason I had tears running down my face when I read the book, and that's what we deliver, I think, on a really great level to that kid. And it's really tragic to me that it's not gonna have the same effect. It's not gonna have the same opportunity to hit that kid. I mean, I think we'll still get passed around, but it's hard. I mean, look, I didn't answer. You had 1,000 questions and I didn't answer any of them. I went on like a total tangent about the MPAA and hitting kids. It's. Look, in terms of the music scene, like I'm a 42-year-old man. I looked at a guy that loves music. I don't care about music. It's not my thing. People are moved by music. That's just not my thing. So I gave that over to a guy and just go get your rocks off and come back and you tell me what's amazing and give me 3 choices and why each choice is amazing. And then we'll make the choice together. And that was kind of the collaborative spirit of the whole movement. It's like giving people the opportunity to be incredible in their own space was really validating.
Go ahead.
My question is kind of along the same lines. We're all fans of the book. It's on our list of books every kid should read and teen. So my question is, has Kale going to see it? I mean, you guys captured it.
The question is has Kelly Going, who's the author, seen it? Not only has she seen it, I think she loves it more than I do.
Yeah, seriously.
She is bananas about it. In fact, you can tweet it. The good thing is, if you see the Avengers and they don't really care, if you see our movie and like our movie, you can change the trajectory of our movie by telling people. And that's the fact, is we're available right now on VOD all over the place, and iTunes as early as next week. And Kelly is she pushes the movie more than anyone. The book's been banned in 7 states. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just ridiculous.
Virginia's probably one of them.
I don't know.
If it's not, it's because the governor hasn't heard about the book. Any more questions?
Mr. Governor in the back.
Can you speak creatively, because you've made a movie that touched you on an emotional level, and clearly you had an audience in mind for this. Can you speak to how you get creative fulfillment? Is it more internalized once you've completed that movie, or do you get it more from audience members who come up to you after the fact and tell you how much it meant?
I think of all of our Q&As, that may be the most awesomest question ever. The question is, where does my satisfaction come emotionally in the process? For me, it's not the reviews, it's not the applause, it's that girl right there who loves the book. It was like that, that moves people. When he says, "Not your fault, I got fat," I cry. I still sit in the back and I roll up the tears. To me, it was the process. That whole experience, the past year of my life, has just validated my belief in art. And the ability to get to a kid, the ability to touch an audience, to have this vision for 10 years and chase and chase and chase, and have this idea of what it could be, and have it, I think, come true and satisfy people. It's just, I don't know, it's really, really satisfying. And not in a financial way, it's the worst financial decision I've ever made. But just on an emotional, and this is the last time the movie's ever playing. That's not true. I'm totally lying. So what we did is that to find kids, we did this thing with a company called Tug. So any kid anywhere in America can set up a screening of our movie in a local cinema. So it works like Groupon. If you go to tugthefatkid.com, you request a screening of our film in the cinema. And whoever promotes it needs to sell anywhere between 30 and 60 seats. If you sell those amount of tickets, our movie will screen for a one-time only experience. Whoever sets it up makes a percentage of the box office. And in the history of this company, they've had, the most requests they ever had was 300, and we've done 1,100 requests in the last 8 weeks. So for me, this is the last time I'll ever probably do a Q&A. This is the last stop for the movie.
You never know.
What about you? What was it like to be sitting in this theater and hearing the reaction of an audience to your performance?
Well, I love it. I love sitting in the audience every time I see it. I never tire of seeing the movie. I've seen it many times by now, and I cry every time, every single time. The movie is so fresh. I imagine I'll watch it in 25 years and still feel the same way. It's like the Beatles, never get old. They never feel dated. And I don't think this movie will either.
I have to say, another of my favorite memories is that the other thing too is that, to go back to that because I love that question, because it's about emotion, is that there's all kinds of memories. I remember exactly where I was when we locked the film. I remember exactly where I was when I was in the film. I cut myself. I have distinct memories of wrapping cable for 2 hours after we wrapped on the all-night scene at the top. I have all these memories. One of my favorite memories was the first time we ever screened it. I teach at Vancouver Film School. I teach acting. And Billy was up shooting The Killing, and I invited him to see the movie with 100, basically 18 to 22-year-old kids. And it never ever played outside of anyone that I knew in my life. It was my wife and my friends, and in that screening, they went bananas for it. They just went crazy for it. And they gave us a standing ovation. I came down because I was watching from the back. I could not deal with it at all. And I came down and I was like, because I had watched the last 15 minutes, and Billy came up and he hugged me and started sobbing. Sobbing. And he's a big man, and the whole man sobbing. It was very erotic. He's so handsome up close. You guys, line up when we're done. You should look at him. He's just beautiful.
Any more questions?
How do you moisturize?
So you optioned this book, and do you feel passionate enough about directing that are you searching for another book? Does it have to be a passion project?
Is he looking for new books, and does he have to be passionate about them?
You're a writer? Yes. I'm always looking. I'm voraciously looking. I desperately am begging, if anyone knows the people that are making it, with John Green, The Fault in Our Stars. I want to do that movie so bad, it's ridiculous. And they're going to hire a 50-year-old guy. I'm like, you got it wrong. I promise you I'll be better than him. But there's movies I am constantly trying to option books. Constantly. Yes.
Just a question. I noticed, I felt like this film was very authentic. I don't know the book, sorry guys. But I love this film. I was with you from the moment it started to the moment it ended. And that doesn't always happen in film, from my experience. Did you know during production, during the scenes, maybe after you shot it, you didn't see that magic was there?
So you said, did I know that we had something that people would like, or follow, or fall in love with?
It's that authenticity.
Authenticity.
You know, you really get it.
No.
You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, I do, because I'm sitting there watching people be amazing. I mean, Jacob came to me the day that he's smashing the donuts on the wall. And he said to me, look, I'm a really happy person. I don't cry. And I just said to him, I don't want you to cry. I just want you to just go into the experience. Whatever happens, happens. Who gives a shit? I don't care. But let's just do this exercise. And let's just see what happens. And in that moment, he said yes. And we started surreptitiously running the camera. He's in the middle of an exercise. And I just gave him the when you're done, get up and smash the donut on that wall. And do it and say whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Just find a space and just do what you want to do. And he did, and he cracked, and he started crying, and smashed the wall, and smashed the donuts, and then walked outside and threw up all over the sidewalk, and then cried for 2 hours straight.
And that's why there's more magic in this movie than I think any magic I've ever done, because he works like that. He makes everything so comfortable for everyone that you can get uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, look, yes, I think that is what I do best. But that idea of like, you have everyone saying yes. Yes and, yes. I'll say yes. And it just ends up, we got lucky.
One more question out there? If not, it is a school night. Oh, there we go.
What message would you say you want people who feel like Troy in this film to receive from watching the movie?
This university, this is the greatest Q&A. You guys are sending me out with a bang. I want to hug you after now, too. You and that dude. And then that chick, and then these guys. I'm not going to hug you. No, I will hug you first. Look, I was that guy. I think that's a lot of people in the world. And shit gets better. And if you find what you love, it can change your life. And if you hold on long enough, you can change your life. And that punk rock saves lives. But thank you. But if we had to go out on a screening and a Q&A, this was a really, really good one. It was funny because I was watching in the back, and it was quiet for a long time, and I was like, oh my God, I don't think it's funny. But we finally found you, and it was good. So thank you very much for laughing. Thank you for letting me in. Thank you for staying. Thank you very much for having us.
And if we missed your question, just come on up. I'm sure we're going to be hanging out for a few minutes.